Hey everybody, it's Adrian. I hope that you're doing amazing. So, I've been asked a lot of questions lately about past life regression. Now, before we even go into that, I think what I would like to sort of bring across or maybe provide some clarity on is that what we normally refer to as past life regression is really regression hypnosis. Past life regression is just really the term that has sort of, made regression hypnosis a household name, which obviously brings us to the most obvious question, if you don't know what regression hypnosis actually is. So, hypnosis itself, it's been around for thousands and thousands of years, it's been practiced by all the ancient civilizations. I used to call it sleep temples and had all other names for it. But hypnosis itself is a very simple concept, really. So you've got your, even though it's got a lot of intricacies with it as well. So you've got your entire mind, and then roughly 10%, 8% of that mind is your conscious mind. For many people, it's only 1%. And then the rest is the subconscious mind. So your conscious mind, it's more sort of like an experience of what's happening in your subconscious. Because when we really look into things like like neuroscience, and we look into things like um, what is the word? I can't remember now. But anyway, so not the point. But anyway, so when we really look into things scientifically, we get to understand how through our senses we take in different, sort of stimulus, and we've got a foundational pattern within ourselves, within our subconscious, basically our foundational core belief, core identity about who we are, and based on that core identity, that determines your conscious experience of life. So the conscious state of life and the conscious state of sort of living and being, that is your beta state. And that is when your mind is more alive, it's more active. Your brain, in essence, beats more. It's like your heartbeat beats at a certain rate, your brain operates in a certain rate, certain cycles, basically. And so at the beta rate, that is when you are awake. And a lot of times we try to create experience of life or create manifestation or whatever from the beta state, but the beta is more the experience state. And whereas when you go to the subconscious and you go to the alpha state, now there's different levels of subconscious mind. Beta is awake. Alpha is when you go into that sort of like semi-relaxed state, where you're sometimes aware of the fact that you're falling asleep or you're aware of the fact that you're waking up. That's the alpha state. And that is a state where you want to go to, because that is the genius, dreamer, artist, state that you can directly communicate with your subconscious mind, because what we do a lot of times, we try to manifest certain things in this world, and we do things like affirmations, for example, which is really beautiful and really, really powerful. But a lot of times we try to send a message, a very beneficial message for us from the conscious part, the experience part, to the subconscious, which is the creative part, where in actual fact it works better the other way around, because the subconscious determines the conscious experience of life. And a lot of times when you try to, from the conscious side, from the beta side, give things to the subconscious mind, which is the alpha side, it just goes like, no, this is not true for you. So we're not going to even go there. Then you also get the theta state, which is the lower state, and you also get the delta state, which is sort of gone like a light type of sleep state. Now, regression hypnosis itself, it's, as I said, it's a simple thing. What happens is you focus on something, usually something like your breathing, because when you focus on your breathing, you can't really focus on anything else. So you normally focus on your breathing, and what that does is it doesn't cut off your consciousness of your surroundings, because I think a lot of times people think that you are asleep and you can't hear anything and you're not aware of anything, but you actually hyper alert during regression hypnosis. It's just a lot of the things that would normally bother you around you, you can't really be bothered about. What you also would normally do is you close your eyes. Now, the thing with closing our eyes is, and also, sorry, I just want to put this out there, even though I'm sharing this information with you, please understand that hypnosis is a very specialized field, and you don't want to sort of attempt it with little drips and bits of pieces over here. And I sometimes hear people going like, oh, I just had an intuitive session, I just intuitively let myself be guided, and I go like, oh, it's like I want to cringe on the inside, because as I said, the concept of hypnosis really is that you go into the state of relaxation, the state of focus, and then that helps you to very sort of laser focus. And also in regression hypnosis, we don't really fix on causing sort of like focus on fixing problems, because problems is a manifestation and a natural unfolding of a deeper pattern, of a deeper value, of a deeper belief that you have about yourself. Doesn't matter whether that's a good belief or a bad belief, because the mind doesn't see things in that way; it just sees possibility. So when you then go to the subconscious and you say, okay, so this is the pattern that we're having: smoking, drinking too much, bad relationships, finance, body health issues, whatever really, romance, whatever really, bad friendships, jobs, whatever. When you can find how you, with on the inside of you, are contributing to that, then it makes a big difference. And so a lot of times also what I like to point out to people is when we speak about your patterns, because I think sometimes, I came to find that people take it very personally. So I obviously realize that I have to, watch my words around this and just be honest really, that when we speak about your patterns, it doesn't necessarily mean, all your sort of bad strokes and that sort of thing. It is, as human beings, as bodies, we are a physical expression of two other people that came together and somehow, expanded life. And you needed some sort of blueprint to do that from. And that is normally within your DNA, so how you're going to look and how you're probably going to act, and, within your pathology, your foundational beliefs about yourself. And yes, it is true from the time of conception till about, 6.5, 7 years old, children are like sponges and they're just taking information. But, scientists now know that there is a tiny percentage of your sort of core belief about yourself. Our beliefs are inherited. And so when you do past life regression, what it really is, remember, time and space doesn't really exist. And when I studied astrology, it's completely blew my mind to really get to understand how time and space really doesn't exist. It's a earth thing. It's a thing that we do on earth in order to get from here to there and to have a chronological experience of life. All right. So there's something that Deepak Chopra says, which I love so much, and he says that my mind is connected to every mind. Because remember, we are all the same expression of source. We are all the same expression of oneness, of possibility. So what you have is, when you think about it, and I love sharing this with people, because the first time I got it, my mind just went kapoo, and I love sharing it because every time I say it, it's like my mind goes even more kapoo, is that 13.8 billion years ago, we had what we are referring to now as the Big Bang. So it's like a big kapoo in the universe. And that sort of spewed molecules, dust particles, whatever, all over the universe. And then at some point about plus minus 4 billion years ago, there was gravity in the universe, and then there were free floating gases and sort of like dust particles. And so obviously, because life keeps on moving, it started to pull these things together into rotation, or what we would now call orbit. And it's also at the same time that the sun actually came to be, which to me is so amazing, because life on a planet, in order to have life on a planet, you need the sun and you need water, because you need it for all sorts of different things, and oxygen and etc., etc., etc. Or for the process, to sort of begin, almost like homeostasis, basically. So that time passed, and at some point the earth was just one big molten ball of lava. Nobody could live there, no life could be sustained there, couple of million years passed, couple of 1,000 million years passed, the earth started to cool down, and then obviously crystals started to form within the earth. The earth became sort of like, more sort of like set for human life, or life in essence in general. And then life started to spring from the earth. And it's amazing when we really think about it, that life sprang from the same sort of organism, mechanism, living being, which is the earth, And I see the crystals as our ancestors, because they were there before us, even though they carry all this beautiful knowledge. And when I teach things like psychic ability and mind unlocking, and I've got like an 8-week course on that, which is amazing. It's via a private Facebook group. it really helps you to connect to the allness of who you are, to the earth. And I think a lot of times when we speak about grounding and standing in your power and those type of things, we become very almost like flippity floppity flimsy with those terms sometimes. But when you understand who you are, and that's such an interesting conversation with one of my friends the other day, who is a life transformation coach. And I think I speak under correction, but I think she focuses. We speak about business so much that when we want to own, we just want to talk about other stuff. But I think she predominantly deals with business people, corporates, that sort of thing. Um, but we were speaking about, in order to be able to stand in your power, you need to know who you are. And knowing who you are entails all the pretty sides about you, but also the not so pretty sides about you. You want to know what your dark sides are, what's trapping you up, what's tripping you up, all those sort of things. So when we sort of do past life regression, we tap into that all consciousness. And the example that I like to make is that you might get a beautiful lady, who's maybe sort of like nice and beautiful and petite and whatever. And then she maybe does a past life, and let's say she's got a problem with freedom and that sort of things, feeling that she doesn't have any choices. Maybe feel like a glorified wallflower or anything like that, then your consciousness, I mean, was like, so where did it start? And you may go back to a previous life where you find yourself being a gladiator and you have to fight for your life, but you're also supposed to have this amazing sort of experience, because everybody comes out to see you and to celebrate you, and you're like, you're like a little celebrity and things like that. And that may be where your pattern may have started in a previous life, where you were seemingly doing great, but you're actually feeling very trapped inside of your life. And we never try to fix anything, because life is just life. It sort of is what it was. But you can change your emotional attachment or connection around that. It's like when you really begin to see how every single thing in this life can serve a valuable purpose and can take you forward, that is really where I think the magic of what regression hypnosis can offer you, really gives you. So sometimes you don't go to previous lives, just to be sure about that. You might do what we call timeline regression. Because I think, and what happens sometimes is that we take our problems very personally, and we feel that I'm the only person who has this, and it's so overwhelming, and it's normal to feel that way. And we often feel very alone, or like, you don't know how big my problem is, and that sort of thing. But, and sometimes, especially when you get into like spirituality and stuff, and we sort of look at sessions online and things like that, we sometimes feel that in order to make this big life change, that is the experience that we need to have. But the thing to understand is, like, the sessions that you see online, first of all, they definitely edit it, because it's a very personal experience. And then usually the person that the session is about, the client, normally they will sign off on it, because you always want to respect everybody else. And so what you really have is, sometimes people are very set to that is the experience that they want to have. And I remember this very clearly, because a couple of years ago, or some time ago, I had a gentleman that came to see me. And as he came through the door, he said to me, "I just want to let you know that I can't be hypnotized." I'm like, "Okay, well, you paid me. Like, these are your 5 hours, the 5, 6 hours. What do you want to do with them?" And so we just spoke, and it was still one of the deepest and most profound sessions in my life. And that person only went, he went nowhere else. He only went to a space when he was 3 years old in his grandmother's garden, because that was the space where he sort of escaped a lot of things that was happening in his life. And that is where the thought patterns were formed that was now determining his experience of life. Another question that a lot of people have is, or something that's been surfacing for me lately, is why is it sometimes that a couple of weeks or a couple of months after a person had a session, they have what they believe to be an energetic attachment, a negative attachment. Now, in another video, I'm going to go a little bit more into this. This playlist, if you're looking at it on YouTube, I'm calling it Disco of the Soul, because I think, a lot of times we come here and we want to have these experiences of life, and Earth is a school, and we feel that we have to suffer to be able to go forward. But a lot of times we create that for ourselves, because that's what we believed, through the years. And unfortunately, I've cut some ties with some spiritual practitioners that were all like, fighting the dark and standing up for the light, and all those sort of things. But it's important, I would say, to understand that there's a whole lot more to regression hypnosis than what meets the eye. And I sometimes smile because I see people that are, quite uninformed, making very sort of like soundingly informed, seemingly quite authoritative sort of statements and decisions and conclusions. And the reason why I'm actually filming this, and I'll do some more, is because I think it's so beautiful. Because I had this wonderful friend of mine who's same as me, is a psychic medium, and do psychic cards and teaches psychic things and stuff like that. Said to me, I don't understand what is going on, and I would like to understand more. And I mean, I'm very passionate about hypnosis and the multiple benefits of it. So I share happily. So just very quickly, I'm not going to go too much into this, but very quickly, because this is a point that was touched on. So a lot of times people still have maybe some ego, they might have some fear, they may feel that maybe if they make the jump, it has to be challenging, it has to be difficult. That a lot of times come from your childhood beliefs. So a lot of times we need to really see who we are not and who we've all sort of been choosing not to be in order to become who we were always destined to be. So in essence, regression hypnosis doesn't actually give you anything. What it does, it helps you to remove all of that which is not serving you positively. So if I, for example, wear the shirt and I realize, well, this is not the best shirt to wear, instead of fighting the shirt, making it wrong, making it dark, burning the shirt, getting all excited about it, simply taking it off and then putting on another one that is more suited to me. And that, in essence, is really very much what regression hypnosis is about. It's incredibly safe. But again, even though I'm saying that, I want to really stress that if you're not trained in regression hypnosis, and you're not confident in what you are doing, you don't want to do any sessions yet, because you can get all funky things that happen sometimes. And if you don't know how to handle those things, they can be challenging. You don't want people to get overwhelmed by their emotions, so you want to know how to deal with something like that. Sometimes when people release from their body, they can sort of shake and do all kind of weird things. But if you don't know what's going on, it can be absolutely horrifying and absolutely terrifying. So let me know if you find this sort of material interesting. And if you have any questions, please post them. Post them in the comments, send them to me directly. I would love to answer all the questions that you have, so you can have some clarity and you can make a well-informed decision as to whether the wonderful and multiple beautiful benefits of regression hypnosis is really the right fit for you. From my heart, namaste, love and light.